o'clock. We'll call the meeting to order. Please rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Well, I've been told I get to dictate the order of a few things, so we'll actually go with 3.3 right now. I believe that is Mr. Nowlin. You'd be up for 3.3?
Yes, sir.
Okay. We'll work backwards in this section. Yeah. Yes.
Good evening, President Terry, members of the board, Superintendent Islas, and members of the Agua Fria community. I am thankful to have the opportunity to address the community and the board tonight. February is CTE month. That's not only through the state, but nationally. And so Governor Ducey has done a proclamation. I won't read the proclamation out for everybody, but you all have a copy of the proclamation. But really what I want to highlight is a couple things. As a district, when you look at CTE month, it's to celebrate the importance of providing expansive experiences and career opportunities for our students. Allowing that real-world application in a lot of the programs that they do. We have 17 current programs. Next year we'll have 18 programs, CTE programs. By far, I think in the West Valley, we're probably, when you look at a comprehensive high school district outside of West Meg, we probably have some of the most engaging programs. We have high-level facilities where students can really experience that. And I know some of you personally have been able to experience some positive pieces of CTE in your lives with your kids or with yourselves. And so, last but not least, but we've had about 75% of our students are enrolled in at least one or more CTE courses. And we know when students are involved in CTE, that graduation rate goes from 95 to 99% when students are exposed to those opportunities. So really, I'm going to stop speaking right there, but I'm passionate about CTE. I think it's a great experience for our students. And so that is, this month we honor CTE month.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Moving along to 3.2, the Friend of the Agua Fria Award. I believe Ms. Griego.
Good evening, President Terry, members of the board, Superintendent Islas, and the Agua Fria community. Thank you for allowing me to present these award recipients to you tonight. 2021 was a tragic year for several of our students who sadly had a parent pass away during the year. As most know, the holidays can be especially hard for children who are grieving. But studies show that one way to heal from the loss of a loved one is to continue on with family traditions. One organization that supports children who are grieving during the holidays is the Help Me Inspire Foundation. In December, the foundation helped spread some holiday cheer to 8 students in 5 households in our district. The foundation generously provided $8,000 in gifts, which included many great items like gift cards, books, toys, and bicycles. But the foundation also took time to learn each child's interests and hobbies and generously gifted them with more personal items like sports tickets, an opportunity to collaborate with Nike on a shoe design, autographed jerseys from local professional sports players, and even karaoke machines. If this wasn't enough, they've connected with the families, bought gifts, and delivered everything within 3 days of learning the students' names. For their efforts in creating a magical holiday for students and going above and beyond to connect with students who are in mourning, I'd like to present the Friend of Agua Fria Award to the Help Me Inspire Foundation. Here to accept the award on behalf of the foundation is a Goodyear resident, Say-Q Sims.
Sure. I mean, it's an honor. We've done this for 12 years. We never thought even to connect with schools and see what their needs were. Megan, being a neighbor of mine, I just asked, and she said, let me check. And next thing you know, I was in a text chain with several of the principals, and I was like, oh my gosh, we were surprised at how much of a need it was. Hearing that some of the kids were having funerals for their parents the week of Christmas. But everyone stepped up, and it was a great chance, and it opened our eyes that there's better ways to help more kids. And so thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I'd like to invite the governing board to have a group photo with CQ please, in the back.
Okay.
If you wouldn't mind, please. Mr. Eastless, if you can join. Yeah.
And then I believe we will move along to 3.1 staff recognition, which I believe is also Ms. Griego.
Thank you again, President Terry, members of the governing board, Superintendent Eastless, and the Agua Fria community. I'm excited to present these staff awards to you for their excellence. Agua Fria High School District has close to 1,000 incredibly talented staff members. Each person in our organization plays an important role in delivering quality education to over 9,300 students across our 5 campuses and online school. Joining us today are several exemplary staff members who have been selected to receive the Excellence Award. Each award recipient was selected by the school principal or district administration or a teammate for their hard work, exceptional commitment, and leadership capabilities. This group of professionals is a reflection of the extremely talented and dedicated staff in our district. At this time, I'd like to invite the award recipients to stand so they can receive a certificate from Superintendent Eastless and be applauded for their excellence. I'll read each of your names, and you'll come up and be awarded the certificate, followed by going to the back of the room for a group picture. After they've all sat down for the group picture, I'll invite the governing board and Superintendent Eastless to join them for that group picture. We'll start with Agua Fria High School and welcoming Aida Alikovic. If you wouldn't mind going back there. Thank you. Also from Agua Fria High School is Aida Maciel. From Desert Edge, we'd like to honor Kristen Armstrong. And now we'd like to honor Hillary Blank. From the district office, we'd like to honor Mary Hammond. From our food services team, we'd like to honor Barbara Duncan. From Verrado High School, we'd like to honor Tracy Meldrum. And from Canyon View High School, we'd like to honor Evelyn Rhea. Additionally, we'd like to honor Stacy Hink. And we'd also like to honor Heidi Benke. I know it's a busy meeting and there may have been somebody else who might have walked in. I just want to make sure all of our award recipients have been honored. If there's anyone I missed, please raise your hand. No? If we could please give them another round of applause. I'd like to ask the governing board for a photo. And attendees are welcome to stay for the duration of the meeting, or if you're off to celebrate, you're welcome to do that as well.
I believe pursuant to ARS 38431, this agenda item provides an open call to the public, allowing individuals an opportunity to address the governing board on any issue within the jurisdiction of the governing board. Members of the public wishing to address the governing board are required to complete a public participation form and submit the completed form to the superintendent prior to the meeting. Individuals recognized by the board president must state his or her name. Speakers may comment on any item on the agenda or topics not listed on the agenda. No personal attacks on the governing board, staff, or other community members will be tolerated. Individual comment will be limited to no more than 3 minutes each, and no more than 30 minutes will be devoted to the public comment portion of the agenda. As a reminder, governing board members are not permitted to take action on any matter that is not on the agenda. So we have just one public comment, I believe Ms. Secor from the AFDEA.
Good evening, President Terry and members of the board. My name is Caitlin Secor. I'm the president of AFDEA, the district's educators union. Tonight, the Meet and Confer Committee will make its recommendations to approve the agreement made at Meet and Confer. Together as the union and management team, we made this agreement. But yesterday, when I opened the board documents and saw the recommendation for administrative salary increases, I felt I needed to make this statement. Since coming on board, Mr. Islas has been incredibly collaborative. He has been open to listening to teacher leaders, and we have established a mutual respect which has allowed for a partnership that benefits our district students and staff. From the beginning, we have supported Mr. Islas's decisions, and it has been clear that he wants to do what's best for his educators. Likewise, we want to thank Mr. Huffman, Mrs. Jones, Mrs. Letary, and all of the district leaders involved in Meet and Confer. They facilitated clear and regular communication between the union and the rest of the committee. In the process, we learned that insurance premiums would increase by 5%, but the cost of staff would not increase. We found creative ways to offer one-time retention stipends. We found ways to spend down 301 carryover monies. We agreed that frugality this year was key. However, since yesterday, we have found that while certified and classified staff in a gesture of goodwill were being frugal and accepting a 1% wage increase, that administrative staff will be receiving 3% wage increases, including up to 13% for select administrative positions. We were advised at Meet and Confer that we needed to be modest with our district spending because of the failed override in November. We were also advised that our district needs to prepare for potential financial losses if the AEL is not lifted or if the override does not pass again. It seems that this conservative approach to spending is not being applied to all employee groups. There have been several new high salary positions created at district office. The 1% increase to classified and certified equal approximately $500,000. The district has $6.7 million in carryover. That is $4.6 million over the once legislated 4% carryover amount. And now that the AEL crisis is seemingly over, the AFDEA respectfully requests that we reconvene Meet and Confer in order to make all wage increases more equitable, not just administrators. We don't believe that with the current shortage of educators in this state that the optics of such an inequitable raise structure will help morale and keep educators from leaving the district and leaving the profession. I also noticed that both our certified and administrative contract language was revised to allow the base salary of an employee to be reduced by up to 10% from a previous 5%. This modification to our contracts was not discussed at Meet and Confer, and that is concerning. I know that we can do better for our certified and classified employees, and I'm hopeful that you will thoughtfully consider our recommendation, as well as the ramifications of such inequitable raises amongst our district's employee groups. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Sequin. That's all we have today. Okay. Item 5.1, we are convening a public hearing on the instructional time model. I guess we need a motion for that.
Be it resolved, the governing board convene a public hearing as recommended.
I second. DeCoste, yes.
Okay.
Hill, yes. Landis, yes.
Terry, yes.
Acton, yes.
All right, 5.2, public hearing, the instructional time model. Mr. Nellen.
Good evening, President Terry, once again, members of the board, Superintendent Islas, and members of the community. This was taken to public hearing last week. This is a continuation of that. The board will take action on this item at 7.1, and the administration asks that the governing board approve the work and learn from home instructional time model. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Nellen. 5.3, consideration to adjourn the hearing on instructional time model and return to regular session.
Be it resolved, the governing board adjourns the public hearing and return to regular session.
I second.
DeCoste, yes.
Hill, yes. Landis, yes.
Terry, yes.
Acton, yes.
6.1, consideration of approval of the minutes of the January 12th, 2022 regular board meeting. Entertain a motion for that.
I move that we approve the minutes of the January 12, 2022 organizational/regular board meeting as presented.
I second.
DeCoste, yes.
Hill, yes.
Landis, yes.
Terry, yes.
Acton, yes.
Moving along, 7.1, consideration of approval of an instructional time model for the spring 2022 semester. I know Mr. Nallen's available for us. Do we have anything further you'd like to present?
No, sir.
Any discussion, questions from my colleagues?
Okay.
I just want to clarify and confirm that the instructional time model you're asking for is limited to only those 3 days?
Correct.
No other exceptions or emergencies or anything like that?
Not at this time, no.
Okay. Thank you.
No further questions, comments? I'll entertain a motion on 7.1.
Be it resolved that the governing board approves the instructional time model as presented.
I will second. DeCoste, yes.
Hill, yes.
Landis, yes.
Terry, yes.
Acton, yes.
7.2, consideration of approval of the recommendations from the Meet and Confer Committee related to the salaries and benefits of certified and classified employees. Ms. Jones. And Mr. Hupper.
Good evening, President Terry, members of the board, Superintendent Eastlis, and members of the community. Thank you. We just wanted to take a brief moment tonight to commend all the work that has been done with the Meet and Confer team. They gave up several Monday afternoons and a lot of time working back at their sites. And I'd like to start by thanking Mrs. Jones for her first time leading the Meet and Confer team and turn things briefly over to her.
And so I just want to say thank you to all of our employee groups that helped me through this process. Some I had done it before, and so that was a great support. I really enjoyed the process and working with them, as well as really wanted to extend a really big thank you to Becky Bright-Weiser, Mike Perry, and Caitlin Secor, who are here tonight representing the Meet and Confer group as well.
Thank you, Julie. So before Julie gives a quick summary of what the recommendations were, which I know you have in your packets, we had an unusual opportunity this year with our sudden growth in the district to be able to put some monies towards our classified staff back in October. And we wanted to thank you again for the raises that you approved for our classified staff back then. Just as a reminder, those were an average 8% raise for our classified staff with a minimum of 4% raise for each of those members. As well, you will see $1,000 retention stipends up here. Just to want to make sure that it's clarified that those one-time retention stipends go to all employee groups. And then finally, as I believe you heard just a little bit ago, there is an anticipated increase of our medical premiums of 5.14%, and that increase is going to be covered by the district, so there won't be any additional cost to our staff for that increase.
And through the conversations and discussions with all the different employee groups, the priorities about salary increases, working conditions were also a point of discussion, and just trying to really support our employee groups as much as we can with what we had in front of us to use. And so we ended up, the recommendations from our employee groups was the 1% salary increase for both the certified and the classified staff, as well as Mr. Huffman said, the $1,000 retention, which is a one-time stipend that will be for all employees of the district. And then the $2,000 additional to the Prop 301. We increased that Prop 301 for our certified teacher groups, which is the only group that is actually eligible through that prop money. And then we, in this time with the substitute issue and the coverage with COVID, and we're trying to support our teachers with that because they've been covering a lot, increasing the substitute rate by $5, which then in turn will increase the class coverage rate for our teachers as well, because they go hand in hand. So.
Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you.
Are we currently paying subs $200 a day right now?
No, so that was for a short time period to get us through a crisis. That ended January 28th, and it returned back to the regular rate of $135 after the 28th of January.
Will you be going through the entire presentation, or was that
No, that
summary
was it.
just, okay.
I'll leave it open for discussion or questions.
I thought I saw it in here, but now I can't find it. When are the retention stipends going to be paid out?
Oh, I'm sorry, I should have mentioned that. Yeah, August. They'll be paid out in August.
When they actually physically return to campus?
Yes.
So there's no type of signing bonus, this is strictly retention, come back to school and you get your bonus?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. And how did classified staff feel about the, I know that it's even because they're each getting 1,000 from M&O, and then the extra money comes from Prop 301, which only certified staff are eligible for? Is that, they were
Yeah, I think
okay?
that the meet and confer group was pretty unified in their recommendations. And as you saw, there were members from each employee group in that meet and confer group.
So on one of these slides, it says serving as representatives for all staff through transparency and collaboration. Last year when we did this, and maybe the year before when we did this, the administration was not included in this. Is that correct?
So we had administrators as part of the team, but they're mainly there as support, because if something comes up regarding working conditions or something on a site, let's say it's lunch coverage as an example, they're the people that can best answer that. Any administrative salaries were not mentioned during meet and confer. They were just there as a support and advisory role for the rest of the group.
So mostly everything that's broken down in here is pertaining to salaries. We talked about working conditions and other things brought up during meet and confer. Can you elaborate a little bit on some things that were discussed and resolved and collaborated on?
Is particular to the working condition discussion. So for example, one of those issues was lunch duty stipend. Trying to figure out how we can get teachers compensated for the lunch duty, which I know is something that Ms. Gross and Mr. Islas, we've been working on trying to figure out a really good solution to support teachers with that. So that was one of the main topics under working conditions. Also have come up about club stipends. Just because there are some clubs that don't get stipends, and so we investigated some of those type of topics. And then, of course, the sub-coverage was one of the primary discussions, especially we were right in the midst of all of that while we were meeting.
And then that's what they decided to spend the money on, was the sub-coverage.
Yeah.
And then once all of the money stuff is taken care of and approved and we start issuing contracts, at that point, oftentimes, we will circle back to that group and say, is there anything else we need to talk about regarding working conditions?
Okay, thank you.
So if this is approved tonight, when will contracts go out?
So they're slated to go out February 25th, next week.
There is a slide in here I just wanted to bring to note that does the historical salary increase chart from 2017 until last year, or actually until this current year, that the, just so the audience and the public knows that the certified total average of salary increases has been 32.25% since 2017. For classified, it's been 28.2%. In that same time, and for administration, it's been 14.5%, which is about half of each.
And that entire PowerPoint is available under public files, so they can all see that if they want to.
I know everyone's rushing to board docs right now to look at it.
Any further questions, comments, concerns?
I think it's great that health insurance continues to be covered. to not have to pay into that, that's really fantastic.
Thank you.
Thanks. No more questions.
Okay. Hearing no more, I'll entertain a motion on 7.2.
Be it resolved, the governing board approves the recommendations related to salaries and benefits for certified and classified employees as presented.
I second.
DeCoste, yes.
Hill, yes.
Landis, yes?
Terry, yes.
Acton, yes.
Moving along to 7.3, principal appointment for Canyon View High School and Desert Edge High School.
Yes, good evening once again, President Terry, members of the board, and the Superintendent Eastless and the Agua Fria community. I am going to go a little off script. Okay, so first I'm going to talk about the process.
Weird.
Yeah, set a timer.
Laughing, saying, but are you surprised? That's the question. So first I want to talk about the process. So the process, myself and Assistant Superintendent Julie Jones worked together hand in hand in this process, make sure HR was involved as we went through this process. And we followed precedent that we've done in this district for a number of years with interim principals prior to. So we did a formal interview with interview questions with both candidates. Additionally, we also did a information process where we're receiving information from parents, from students, as well as from staff. And so that was kind of the process of going through for me to make a recommendation to Superintendent Eastlas on what I felt was best for both campuses based on the feedback that I received from those communities. So I want to talk about each candidate individually. So first I'm going to talk about Gretchen, Mrs. Hand.
Can we have Mrs. Hand come up?
We can have Mrs. Hand
Yes.
come up. I'd love it to have Mrs. Hand come up. As you can see, she turned bright red. Okay. I've known Mrs. Hand for a long time, and I think where I'm going off script is just a little personal story. Is that first and foremost, she started off as a teacher in our district. Then she was a teacher mentor, instructional coach. She's worked at multiple campuses. So she's worked at Agua Fria, she's worked at Verado. She's had experience in different communities, which I think as a leader is always important, to be able to see all of your students and all of your community members and your families that you serve. But I've in both of our paths in the district, we've crossed a lot, and not in a bad way, but we've had some really crucial conversations about things. I think I've had some opportunities to talk to Gretchen about where she wants to be and her growth. And so for me, it's really exciting to be here, a part of this moment, because I remember a time where she was wondering where her path was going to be and whether or not she was going to get there. And if you know anything about her, she's passionate, she cares, and she's determined. And so with that, I have a lot of feedback that I got from our communities, but I just highlighted just a couple words from one of her employees that was something that I saw resonated with I think I met with 40, 50 people individually, and then additional emails. But constant, visible, interactive presence, engages with all students, staff, and parents with a smile and genuine intention. So those are words from one of your staff members, and how they feel about you, and that was resonated with all your staff. So I just ask that the governing board accept the recommendation for Mrs. Gretchen Hand to be the permanent principal at Desert Edge High School. So.
Can I sit down?
You can sit down now. So the next person I'm going to bring up is Mrs. Lynn Reed. Me and Lynn we've been through a lot together. Huh? Don't cry. Don't cry. You're crying. I'm crying. You're not crying. Me and Lynn have been through a lot together. We opened Canyon View High School up together. Just a little story about Lynn is, Lynn was scared to death. She almost didn't apply for the assistant principal position. And I'm sitting here and I'm like, I know, but I'm waiting on her to apply. I'm like, this is who I want to hire. I know I want to hire, but she's got to apply. So I sent a little birdie to her, and it was like, when are you going to apply? Are you going to apply? So, but she applied, and her passion. Once again, I think the commonality between both is their passion for kids. Lynn has been a teacher. She's been a instructional specialist. She's worked in Title I schools. She's worked in non-Title I schools. She has a wealth of experience and knowledge, and she just cares. The biggest thing that sometimes I have to tell her is don't take some things personal because it's not a reflection of you. Sometimes people don't see sometimes people just don't see the things that we see. And you have to be in the trenches to understand that. And I think anybody that's been an administrator, we understand those trenches that you're in. And sometimes you just go home and you're like, man, why did I select this job? But I think the reason why she selected this job is the very reason why my recommendation to the governing board is that she becomes the next principal at Canyon View High School. Very personal to me, but because I've seen her work ethic, I've seen what she's done, I've seen the growth. And I've seen what she's been able to do, and I've seen her connection and her passion. And, words that came from talking to staff members at Canyon View is she's patient, kind, understanding, focused, and flexible. And flexibility, if nothing else, is one of those things that you have to be as a principal, because you're going to get thrown a lot of different things, and you've got to figure that out on the fly. So with that being said, I'm extremely proud to stand here next to you. And I'm going to be in your corner all the way. And I ask that the governing board accept our recommendation for Lynn Reed to be the next permanent principal at Canyon View High School.
Thank you.
I am very proud to make the motion. Be it resolved, the governing board approve the appointment of Lynn Reed as principal of Canyon View High School and of Gretchen Ham as principal of Desert Edge High School upon arrival.
A second.
DeCoste, yes.
Hill, yes. Landis, yes.
Terry, yes.
Acton, yes.
Congratulations. Moving along, 8.1, consideration of approval of the consent agenda. Is there any item anyone would like to pull out for further discussion?
I would like to pull 8.12 out of respect for the AFDEA to discuss that in public before we vote on it.
Okay. Anything else?
That's all. Thank you for doing
All right. If not, I will entertain a motion for the rest of the consent agenda.
Be it resolved, the governing board approves the items on the consent agenda minus 8.12 as presented.
I'll second.
DeCoste, yes.
Hill, yes. Landis, yes.
Terry, yes.
Acton, yes.
All right. 8.12, consideration of approval of cabinet's recommendations for administrative salaries. I don't know if we can have further discussion. I'm sure there's questions. Is there anyone you would like to come up? Who would
Not
be the best person to ask?
necessarily.
Is that you, Mr. Eastlis, or, yeah, well, Mr. Eastlis, if you'd like to open the discussion on it.
I will answer any question you want me to answer.
I don't really have a question. I feel like we have a great relationship with the AFDEA, and so I want to be very transparent and clear about how we vote on this tonight and how we talk about it. I've served on this governing board for 5 years, and in the past 5 years, the district has not brought forward raises for administration, nor did we have a board that would approve raises for our administrators. Our salaries for our administrators are not competitive with other high school districts near us or even far away from us. And watching over the years, just looking at the chart that they have for us, that comparing the raises over the years, you can see in, I would say black and white, but it's blue and white, that administration has not received increases. And then in some situations, we've had to make exceptions for people to come out of the classroom to become an assistant principal and not take a pay cut to be an assistant principal. It's happened on several occasions since I've been on this board, and I don't think that's fair. If we have teachers that want to become administrators, they should be able to have that pay raise when that time comes. And so I just wanted to be clear about how I feel about this.
I also support the fact that we need to bring our administrator salary level up to one so that it's competitive. We want good qualified people, and we can't keep, and for years, I sat on the board, and we would not get the request to increase administrators, and I'm in support of that, so that let's do what we need to do so that we can continue to have qualified administrators, and that is where I stand.
Anything? Oh, I guess then it won't be any questions, but I will just, I would like to kind of piggyback off of what both Ms. Hill and Ms. DeCoste said. There have been a lot of changes in the last year and a half, just the district as a whole. And one of the big changes has been a big reorganization of our district staff and administrative staff. And Ms. DeCoste said she's been here for 5 years. I've been here for a little over a year. And I, too, have seen instances where it has been legitimately a pay cut for a long-term teacher to then be promoted, allegedly promoted to assistant principal, and for it, to not feel that way so much in the, in the benefits and in the checkbook. So that, along with, making sure our principals are, on par with our neighboring areas, our neighboring districts, and just allowing, you, Mr. Eastlis, the freedom to restructure this district, for our future growth, for our, keeping up with everything that's going on in our community. I am also in support of this, especially, like you have all said, who have been here longer than me. We haven't been keeping up on this lately. So if there's nothing else, if you would like to say something, Mr. Eastlis?
I want to add one more thing. As I'm
Oh,
listening to your,
by all
I just want to say, you can't give raises when you don't have the money. And so there's nothing else, and I'll say, I think most of us, if not all, would love to give the teachers more money. 1% isn't enough, but that's what we have. And I hope to goodness that we can all unite together to get a bond, potentially override both passed, so that we have money to pay you more. You all deserve more. And we can see competing districts giving more. So with your help and with your support and by joining together, we can do more, but we've got to get out there and vote.
Mr. Eastlis.
President Terry, members of the board, I do want to address what Mr. Coase said. We have a great working relationship with the association. Ms. Secor has been extremely professional. We are working together to make this district better. I appreciate the professionalism that has been displayed by the association. I appreciate all the work that has been done, and I certainly recognize that it's my responsibility to at times regain trust, earn that trust again, rebuild relationships, and I will definitely do that. And I think it's important to recognize that although at times we have some difference of opinion, we are certainly working together, and I will reach out to Ms. Secor and the association and anyone that wants to speak to me about what we can do moving forward. So thank you.
Anything else? And if there is not, I will entertain a motion on 8.12.
Be it resolved, the governing board approves the cabinet's recommendation for administrative salaries for the 2022-23 school year as presented.
I'll second the motion.
DeCoste, yes.
Hill, yes.
Williams, yes.
Terry, yes.
Acton, yes.
All right. 9.1, Governing Board Member Summary of Current Events and/or Direction Given to the Superintendent. I guess we can start at the end like we usually do, but we've switched seats.
I've been to just a few sporting events. As far as direction to the superintendent, I have a request that if we're going to do celebrations at 4, that we actually move the celebrations to 5 and start the meeting after that. I'd like us to look at that. I don't know how we all feel about it, but it's difficult to get here at 4, and I would like to congratulate everybody and be a part of the celebration, but I don't think I can do that at 4.
Okay. I think Karen's taken a note of that, so she'll get with all of us on that. Ms. Hill, anything from you?
Nope.
No?
You didn't hear me say anything.
Yeah, just some sporting events right now. Watching on social media and following on the school sites for some of our teams in playoffs still. So very exciting time for a lot of teams. So very good. No directions, no requests.
I have nothing new to report. Sorry.
I'll just say that, or acknowledge Mr. Eastlis has been on a listening tour lately when it comes to our staff at each of our schools, and I have had the opportunity to just kind of sit in the back on each of them so far. That we've been through 4. We're at Agua Fria tomorrow, and I plan on sitting in the back again, been able to block that on my schedule. And it's just been nice getting out there to hear from, teachers, counselors, just the issues that you're dealing with on a day-to-day basis. I know when Mr. Eastlis comes to us as the board, it's helpful, if I've, at least for me singularly, if I've heard it before and heard it from out in the community. So that's been a benefit. We've also resumed, being on campuses, usually on Fridays, if we can, just to, be out there in the community. One thing I did want to hit is the AEL. I know that was mentioned before, the expenditure limit. That has passed at least one of the chambers right now. For those who don't know, it's just a constitutional spending limit issue that may potentially affect our ability. I did want to let everyone know, for the longest time, our district has been quite active and involved, if not publicly yelling about it. We've been involved. I've been in legislators' offices, keeping up to date so that stuff gets disseminated down to our district so that we can stay on top of that. I'm confident that there will be a resolution, and I've been told we won't see any adverse effects from that. Also, sporting events, just want to mention I was out there with Mr. Shulman, a few of your staff, Saturday for Verado soccer, boys soccer. Were able to win there, make it to the quarterfinals, which last night they fell a little bit short. Wasn't able to make it to that one, but did want to recognize Verado's boys soccer. They had a very good regular season. And then Millennium girls soccer, I was actually at their playoff game just before I was over at Verado. They're playing tonight down in Tucson in the quarterfinals. I believe that game just started at 6. So hopefully they'll win that, and maybe a semifinal, and we can make a long run, for one of our winter sports. But moving on from that, I will go to 9.2, comments and or information from Superintendent Eastlis or his cabinet.
Thank you, President Terry, members of the board. I want to thank Mr. Nolan and Ms. Jones for the process to recommend the hire of our 2 new principals. It feels real good to know that our educators, whether administrators or teachers, have choices. You can go places, and we had in Gretchen and Lynn choose to work in this community and work with our kids, and it's nice to see some homegrown people be promoted. So congratulations. We're looking forward to your leadership with that. I also want to thank Mr. Huffman and Ms. Jones for their work with the Meet and Confer team. They're people working well together. There was a lot of good discussion. I was able to attend one of the meetings and saw a great collaboration. And I appreciate the work that has been done. And there's many of you that were in the room that were part of that, and I really do appreciate that. And that's all I have, sir.
All right, 10.1, requests for future agenda items.
I have something this time, Terry.
Yes.
Okay. What I'd like to see, I attended Super Saturday, the event that we have, and it was very exciting. And what I'd like to have as a future agenda item, some kind of summary of the feedback that we receive from the community, so that I kind of know as we do our strategic planning, I can recognize some of the suggestions were made or where we're going with much of it. It was an excellent program, by the way. I'd like to see that again sometime, that Super Saturday, but I would like a summary of that event.
That is making note of that, Marissa.
Thank you.
Anything else?
No.
All right, then 11.1, consideration to adjourn. Entertain a motion.
Be it resolved, the governing board adjourned the regular board meeting on February 16th.
I second.
DeCoste, yes?
Hill, yes?
Landis, yes?
Terry, yes?
Afton, yes.
We are adjourned.
Thank you.